You think that you are hopeless and that you can never change, then this book will blow your mind. In this book, you will learn how habits work and how you can apply the habit loop in your life. You will learn about people like you who have bad habits, but they were able to overcome them. They were able to create new habits and live a better life. It is not yet too late for you to change. Let us start the journey to meet the new you. Hello friends, and I am Malay, who is very excited to read for you the summary of the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. The Habit Cure. Lisa Allen is 34 years old. She started drinking and smoking when she was 16. Lisa struggled with obesity for most of her life. She had a debt of over $10,000. None of her jobs lasted for more than a year. But the woman in front of the researchers today is very different. The new Lisa is slim and vibrant. She has the toned legs of a runner. She looked 10 years younger than her old photos. Today, Lisa has paid all of her debt. She stopped drinking and she is now working for 3 years in a graphic design firm. How long since the last time you smoked? One of the researchers asked. Lisa answered, almost 4 years. I also lost 60 pounds and I had finished a marathon since then. Lisa also began to study for a master's degree and she bought a home. A lot of positive changes had happened in her life. For the past 3 years, psychologists, neurologists, and other experts have studied Lisa and 23 other people who are former alcoholics, smokers, overeaters, and obsessive shoppers. It was a research that was funded by the National Institute of Health. The one common thing among Lisa and the other research subjects was that they were able to quit their bad habits within a short period of time. The experts want to know how they were able to do it. The researchers installed cameras in the subjects' homes to monitor their daily routine. The subjects also underwent fMRI brain scans as they were exposed to cigarette smoke or delicious meals. I know you told this story several times, but could you please tell us again how you quit smoking? The researchers said. Lisa began to tell her story. It was on a vacation in Cairo, Egypt. A few months before that, Lisa's husband came home from work and said that he wanted a divorce. He was in love with another woman. Lisa was devastated. She moaned and she became obsessed. Lisa followed her husband and his girlfriend around town. She called the girlfriend's home every midnight and then she would hang up. And then there was the night when Lisa went to the girlfriend's house very drunk. She shouted and pounded on the door. Lisa threatened to burn the apartment down. It was the worst part of her life. Lisa felt so down and hopeless. Then she thought about how she had always wanted to see the pyramids of Egypt. Her credit cards were not maxed out yet, so she went on that trip. On her first morning in Cairo, Lisa woke up to the sound of prayer from a nearby mosque. It was very dark in her hotel room. Her head is aching from jet lag. Lisa reached out for her cigarette. She lights it up and then she started to smell burning plastic. It turns out that she was lighting up a pen and not a Marlboro. Lisa was very disoriented. She spent the last few months feeling angry, depressed, ashamed, and helpless all at once. She was awake every night, crying and overeating. She was unemployed and unhealthy. Her whole life is crumbling down. She could not even light up a cigarette right. Lisa cried even harder. A few moments later, she stood up, took a shower, and left the hotel. Lisa thought that she needed a goal in her life, something that she would look forward to. She made a promise to herself that next year she would come back to Egypt and trek through this desert. No matter what happens, she would accomplish this goal. It was a crazy idea. Lisa was overweight. She had no savings at all. But she challenged herself. To be able to do this, she knew that she needed to quit smoking. 1 year later, Lisa is in a caravan with 6 other people trekking the deserts of Egypt. She was able to achieve her goal. That decision to quit smoking started the change in her life. Over the next 6 months, Lisa replaced smoking with jogging. She changed her unhealthy diet. She became productive at work. She slept enough hours. She saved money in the bank and planned for her future. Lisa also joined a marathon, went back to school, and bought a new house. The researchers saw the old patterns in Lisa's brain. The old habits are still there, but they are weaker. New neural patterns have formed, which correspond to her new good habits, and they are getting stronger. Lisa is the favorite research subject of the experts because her brain scans are very clear. She was able to rewire her brain. How habits work. In 1993, Eugene Pauly walked into a laboratory in San Diego. He was an old man over 6 feet tall, wearing a blue button-down shirt. His hair was all white and he was walking slowly with arthritis. He is better known in medical literature as EP. 1 year earlier, Eugene started vomiting and he experienced stomach pain. He was dehydrated when his wife brought him to the hospital. He had a very high fever and he was delirious. Eugene was violent. He was shouting and kicking when the nurses tried to put an IV into his arm. When he was sedated, the doctor was able to insert a long needle between 2 vertebrae on his back and extract some fluid. Usually, the fluid in the brain and spinal nerves are clear and quick flowing. It is running like silk through a needle. But the sample from Eugene's spine is different. It was cloudy and sluggish, like it was filled with grit. The doctors said that there is nothing they could do to counter the damage that's already done. But they could give Eugene a large dose of antiviral drugs that could stop the virus from further spreading. Eugene was in a coma for 10 days and he was close to death. But slowly the drugs worked and his fever went down. The doctor told Eugene's wife that they need to be prepared. He might not be the same person he used to be. I don't think I have ever seen anyone come back like this. I don't want to raise your hopes, but this is amazing, the doctor said. A few weeks later, Eugene was discharged from the hospital and put into rehabilitation treatment. He could not remember what day of the week it was. He also could not remember the names of the doctors and nurses no matter how many times they introduced themselves. When he got home, Eugene did not remember any of his friends. Some mornings he would wake up, get out of bed, go to the kitchen and cook bacon and eggs. Then he would go back to the bedroom and open the radio. 45 minutes later, he would do the same routine again. Wake up, cook bacon, go back to the room and listen to the radio. Eugene became the favorite subject of researchers who specialize in memory loss. Then he arrives back home and sits in front of the TV to watch History Channel. Eugene does this routine every day. His memory is lost, but his habit kicks in. Eugene knows his way around the neighborhood and he does it automatically. The human brain is like an onion. It is composed of layers upon layers of cells. The outside layer is where complex thinking occurs. But deep inside the brain and closer to the brain stem is where more primitive structures are located. They control our automatic behaviors such as breathing or swallowing. At the center of the skull is a golf ball-sized tissue that is similar to what you will find in the head of a mammal, fish, or reptile. Scientists discovered that habits emerged because the brain is always looking for ways to save energy. It will turn any routine into a habit because it allows the brain to focus on more complex tasks. For example, walking, tying our shoes, getting dressed, and brushing our teeth are tasks that we don't need to think much about anymore. It is part of our habit. We do it on autopilot. The brain does this chunking of behavior so that we could focus on more complex tasks such as programming a software or solving a math problem. Our basal ganglia kicks in when we brush our teeth or tie our shoes. Having this automatic habit enables us to do tasks that need higher level of thinking or decision making. The habit loop. So, how do you create a habit? The habit loop goes like this. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, routine, reward. If you repeat this habit loop, the behavior becomes natural. What is the cue? It is the trigger to do the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself. And finally, the reward is the positive affirmation that ensures the behavior is repeated. In the 1990s, scientists at MIT did a memory experiment on rats. The scientists discovered that animals with injured basal ganglia suddenly struggled with tasks such as running through mazes or opening food containers. It appeared that the rats' memories were destroyed. The scientists then decided to do an experiment where they would observe the rats as they do basic routines. The scientists inserted tiny wires in the brain of the rats so they could monitor brain activity. These are sensors inserted into the skull of rats that feed information into the scientists' computers. The rats are put in a T-shaped maze with chocolate at one end. The task, of course, for each rat is to find the chocolate. First, there was a partition that separates the rats from the rest of the maze. Then, there is the sound of a loud click and the partition is removed. It is the trigger or cue for the rat to find the chocolate. The rat would begin to wander around, sniffing at corners and scratching walls. It smells the chocolate, but it does not know where it is. Sometimes the rat turns right, sometimes it turns left, but eventually the rat finds the chocolate. The sensor inside the rat's head showed that as the rat wandered through the maze, the basal ganglia is in full power. The cue is the click sound, the routine is the maze, and the reward is the chocolate. As the rat went through this habit loop, the basal ganglia stored the habit. This proves that our brain stores habits to save energy for more important tasks. The habit of success. The bad habit is still there. It is waiting for the right cue. It will repeat and the person will do the same routine. So, the key is to replace it with a good habit. To do that, the cue and the reward should still be the same, but the routine is different. For example, you have this bad habit. It is all you ever do when you get home from work. You use your phone until late at night. You can do this change in routine. First, the cue is arriving at home. Then, instead of lying in your couch and using your phone, you get into your running shoes and jog around the neighborhood. That is your new routine. Then, after an hour, you go back and make yourself a strawberry smoothie. That is your reward. If you repeat this cue, routine, and reward, you will make the new habit. You can apply the habit loop for any bad habit you want to change in your life. Remember, cue, routine, reward. To replace a bad habit, use the same cue and reward but change the routine. Let us learn this and be inspired by this next story, where he worked at McDonald's and Hollywood Video. Sometimes customers were rude. One shouted at him, "I wanted ranch dressing, you moron!" And Travis would lose control. "Get out of my drive-thru," Travis shouted back at the woman. He threw the chicken nuggets at the customer's car. Sometimes Travis would get so upset that he cries in the middle of a shift. He was often late or absent. At home, he talks to himself in the mirror. He orders himself to be better, to suck it up and be normal. But Travis could not get along well with people. Until one day, a regular customer at Hollywood Video spoke to him and suggested that he work at Starbucks. The customer is an assistant manager in a new branch at Fort Washington. He invited Travis to apply. 1 month later, Travis became the morning shift barista. 6 years passed and Travis is 25 years old. Now, he is the manager of 2 Starbucks branches. He oversees 40 employees and he is responsible for a revenue of $2 million per year. His salary is $44,000. Travis is never late or absent. He is now the master of his emotions. He never gets upset on the job. He attended the Starbucks training courses. He joined the lectures on his very first day as a barista. The program is structured in such a way that employees can earn college credits when they complete the modules. Starbucks' training program changed Travis's life. Starbucks has taught him how to focus, how to live, how to master his emotions. He said, "Starbucks is the most important thing that happened to me. I owe everything to this company." Starbucks saw that to provide a good service, all the employees must have willpower and self-discipline. That's why the company spends millions of dollars to train employees and create new good habits in their lives. Starbucks has manuals and workbooks that have instructions on how an employee should handle a difficult situation or a difficult customer. For example, if a customer is angry because he got the wrong drink, the right response is to use the latte method. That is, listen to the customer, acknowledge the complaint, take action by giving the right drink, thank the customer, and explain why the problem occurred. Training the employees and teaching them about willpower, self-discipline, and good habits is a part of how Starbucks reached this tremendous success. Good habits of employees lead to good customer service. It's one of the reasons why Starbucks is more than just coffee. Conclusion. You learned about Lisa Allen, how she quit smoking and all the other bad habits in her life. You learned about Eugene Pauly, the man who had viral encephalitis. Even though he lost his memory, he was able to function through habits. You also learned about the brain's basal ganglia. You learned about the habit loop, that is, cue, routine, and reward. You can change any habit and create any new habit. Just remember the cue, routine, and reward. You learned about Travis Leach and how Starbucks changed his life. If an organization instills good habits in its employees, it will achieve long-term success. If you have any bad habit, do not lose hope. This book has taught you the techniques you need and also the stories you can get inspiration from. Like Lisa and Travis, you can turn your life around. Start small, take small steps. Start with one habit at a time. Remember the habit loop and don't give up. Each day is a chance for you to have a better life. So friends, the summary of this book ends here. If you like this summary, you can tell us in the comment section. And you can also tell us which book summary you want next time. If you like our efforts, you can show us your love by giving us a positive review and feedback at Jai Hind.